I never thought my own blood could cut deeper than a barbed wire fence. Growing up on our family ranch in the rugged hills of Montana, where the big sky stretches endless and the winters bite like a coyote, family was everything. We were the Harrisons, proud, hardworking folks who'd turned a patch of dusty land into a thriving cattle operation. My name's Emily Harrison, and I've spent my life here, from mucking stalls as a kid to negotiating feed contracts as an adult. But when Dad passed last spring, leaving behind a will that should have united us, it tore us apart instead.
Dad.
Old Jack Harrison was the heart of this place. He built it from nothing after Grandpa lost the original homestead in a bad drought back in the 70s. Dad always said, "Land ain't just dirt, it's legacy." He raised me and my brother, Brad, to value that. I was the one who stuck around, learning the ropes, handling the books, and modernizing things with sustainable grazing plans to keep us compliant with federal land regs. Brad? He hightailed it to Seattle after high school, chasing tech dreams, but he always came back for holidays, flashing his city's success like a shiny buckle. The trouble started at the reading of the will. We gathered in the old oak-paneled office of our family lawyer, Mr. Elias Thorne, in downtown Billings. The room smelled of leather and coffee, with sunlight streaming through the blinds, casting long shadows like warnings. Thorne, a grizzled vet with a mustache like a broom, cleared his throat and read aloud. Dad left the ranch split 60-40, me getting the majority share because I'd poured my sweat into it, and Brad the rest, plus some cash reserves. But there was a clause: any disputes had to go through mediation before court. To keep it in the family. Jack wanted peace, Thorne said, eyeing us both. Brad's face twisted like he'd bitten a sour apple. "This is bullshit." He spat as we stepped out into the crisp Montana air. "You manipulated him. All those late nights helping with the books, yeah. Right." His words stung, but I brushed it off. Brad had always been the golden boy, charming everyone with his easy smile and tall tales of startup glory. Me? I was the steady one, the pitbull as he once joked, guarding the herd. Things escalated fast. Brad started showing up unannounced, poking around the barns, questioning the hands about operations. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the Rockies, painting the sky in fiery oranges, he cornered me in the main house kitchen. "I'm bringing in investors," he announced, leaning against the counter like he owned the place. "We'll subdivide part of the land for ecotourism cabins. Big money. Cease. You can keep playing cowgirl on your share." My blood boiled. Dad's will is clear.
Brad.
"We can't just carve it up without agreement. That's against the trust provisions." I knew the legal ins and outs. I'd consulted Thorne months back when Dad was fading, ensuring everything was ironclad under Montana probate law. But Brad laughed. That condescending chuckle that made my fists clench. "Laws are for losers who can't negotiate. Watch me." Over the next weeks, the ranch felt like a pressure cooker. Brad emailed the crew directly, offering bonuses if they'd back his plans. One of my loyal hands, young Mia Ramirez, forwarded me a message he'd sent her. "Your insights on the land could earn you a spot on the new team. Keep it quiet, big opportunities ahead." It reeked of poaching, violating the non-compete clauses in our employee contracts. I didn't confront him yet. Instead, I started a file on my laptop, timestamping every interaction, saving emails, noting conversations. In the West, you don't rush into a gunfight. You gather your ammo. Then came the gut punch. Late one night, as coyotes howled in the distance, I got a text from Brad. "Back off or get trampled. This ranch is mine now."
No hello.
No sign-off, just raw threat. I stared at my phone screen, the glow illuminating my tired face. Rage simmered, but I breathed deep, remembering Dad's words. Anger clouds judgment. Facts clear the path. I printed the text, added it to my folder. Under U.S. law, especially in family trusts, intimidation could trigger a breach, leading to forfeiture. I'd read up on it. Montana statutes were strict on fiduciary duties. I called Thorne the next morning, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I need advice on potential conflicts, I said. He listened as I outlined the poaching and threat, without naming Brad outright yet. Sounds like grounds for review, he replied. Document everything. We'll handle it quietly. That folder grew. Brad snide comments during family dinners. Like, you're sharp for a ranch girl. Did you even finish community college? I ignored the barbs, but noted them. Women like me, raised on resilience. Don't snap, we strategize. The turning point hit during a family mediation session Thorne set up, hoping to avoid court. We met at a neutral spot, a conference room in a Billings hotel, with views of the Yellowstone River rushing below. Brad sauntered in late, coffee in hand,
smirking.
Let's make this quick, he said, cutting me off mid-sentence as I explained the sustainable plans. I don't care who you think you are.
Eminencia.
Investors are lined up, this is happening. The room went silent. Even Thorne stiffened. I didn't flinch, I just nodded and continued. But inside, I knew this was war, but a humane one. I wouldn't destroy him. I'd expose the truth, hoping for redemption. That night, I uncovered more, digging through old emails. I found Brad had a history, a failed startup where he'd been accused of poaching staff, swept under the rug with a quiet settlement. Patterns matter in the West. They predict the trail ahead. As the days blurred into dusty sunsets, I prepared. The ranch hands noticed the tension, whispering around the fire pit. Mia confided in me. He offered me a raise to spy on your ledgers. I thanked her, added it to the file. Brad thought he was the slick city boy outsmarting the country sister. He didn't realize I'd built this legacy brick by brick, clause by clause. The Montana summer heat baked the earth, turning the pastures golden under an unrelenting sun. I threw myself into work, herding cattle at dawn,
Balancing books till midnight.
but Brad's shadow loomed like a gathering thunderhead. He'd started hosting investor tours on his supposed share, driving fancy SUVs across our land, pointing out spots for cabins like he was staking a claim in the gold rush era. It violated the will's unity clause. The ranch couldn't be divided without mutual consent or court order. One afternoon, as I repaired a fence line with calloused hands, my phone buzzed. It was an email from Brad to Thorne, CC'd to me accidentally. Emily's resistance is stalling progress. Suggest we revisit the will's intent, perhaps undue influence on Dad. My heart pounded. Undue influence? That was a legal bomb.
Impligni de coarsadat.
But I knew the truth. Dad had dictated the will himself, with witnesses, all above board under Montana law. Still, the accusation stung. A betrayal deeper than any business deal. I forwarded it to Thorne immediately. This crosses lines, he replied. Intimidation and false claims could invoke the no contest clause. In Western states, wills often include provisions where challengers risk losing everything if their claims fail. I added this to my growing dossier, now over 50 pages of emails, texts, witness notes. It wasn't revenge, it was protection. A shield for the legacy Dad entrusted to me. Brad upped the ante at our next family gathering, a barbecue at the ranch house, meant to ease tensions. Relatives from Wyoming drove in, the air thick with smoke from the grill and unspoken grudges. Brad cornered Aunt Louise by the picnic table. "Em's holding us back," he said loudly enough for me to hear. "She's like a guard dog on a short leash, no vision." The relatives shifted uncomfortably. I didn't bite back. Instead,
I puled mia asi de later.
"Did he say anything else?" She nodded. "He implied you'd cooked the books to sway Dad." That night, under a star-studded sky that felt mocking in its vastness, I sat on the porch, whiskey in hand. The emotional toll hit hard. Brad wasn't just a rival. He was my brother. The kid I'd defended from bullies. Shared secrets with. But greed had twisted him. I recalled Dad's lessons. Family's blood. But trust is earned. I decided to dig deeper. Hiring a private investigator discreetly, legal in Montana, for civil matters. The PI, a no-nonsense guy named Hank from Bozeman, uncovered Brad's Seattle woes. Debts from his failed startup. Pressure from creditors. He needed quick cash. Explaining the rush to subdivide. The mystery deepened when Hank found emails Brad had sent to potential buyers, promising clear title despite the disputed will. That was fraud territory. Misrepresenting property under U.S. real estate law could lead to civil penalties, even criminal if intent proved. I didn't gloat. Pity crept in. Brad was drowning, lashing out at me to stay afloat. Confrontation came during a storm. Rain lashed the windows as Brad burst into the house, soaked and furious. "You hired a snoop? That's low."
Ain't.
He'd spotted Hank tailing him in town. I stood firm in the living room, fire crackling in the hearth. "You're the one scheming."
Brad. Poaching staff.
"Threats. It's all documented." His face crumpled for a split second, vulnerability flashing before hardening. "You always were the perfect one. Dad's favorite." The words hung heavy, revealing old wounds. We argued, voices rising like the wind outside. "This isn't about favorites," I shouted. "It's about honoring Dad." He stormed out, leaving me shaken. For the first time, I saw the human side. Jealousy, insecurity fueling his fire. Thorne advised mediation again, but with stakes raised. We met in his office. Neutral ground. Brad arrived defensive. Lawyers in tow, a slick Seattle firm. "Let's settle this," his attorney said. "Brad proposes buying you out." I countered with facts. "The will's clear, and his actions breach fiduciary duty." Thorne nodded. Under Montana trust law, siblings as co-trustees owed each other honesty. As evidence mounted, Brad's bluster faded. Hank's report showed his debts totaled over $200,000, motive clear. But I held back the full hammer, sensing a chance for humanity. "Brad," I said softly during a break, "we can fix this together. Sell off non-essential land jointly. Pay your debts." He scoffed, but his eyes wavered. The session ended in stalemate. But seeds were planted. That night, alone with my thoughts, I pondered the lesson Dad tried to teach. Revenge destroys, understanding rebuilds. Yet the drama escalated. Brad filed a formal challenge in probate court, claiming I hid Dad's mental decline. It was a lie, but public now, staining our name in the small-town gossip mill. I lawyered up.
Countering with my dossier.
The judge, a stern woman from Helena, reviewed preliminaries. "This looks like a family feud gone nuclear," she said. Discovery loomed, where all dirt would surface. Brad's threats, poaching, all admissible. But as depositions neared, doubt gnawed. Was winning worth losing my brother forever? Autumn leaves swirled across the ranch like scattered secrets as the court battle heated up. Billings Courthouse, with its stone facade and echoing halls, became our arena. I sat in the wooden pews, heart racing, as lawyers sparred. Brad's side painted me as controlling, citing old emails where I'd advised Dad against Brad's risky ideas. Mine highlighted his breaches. The staff poaching violated labor laws. The threats constituted harassment under Montana statutes. During my deposition, Brad's lawyer grilled me. Did you influence your father's will? I met his gaze steadily.
No.
Dad was sharp till the end. Medical records prove it. I presented affidavits from doctors, witnesses. Brad fidgeted across the room, avoiding my eyes. The emotional undercurrent was palpable. This wasn't just legal, it was psychological warfare, exposing family fractures. Discovery revealed more. Brad had secretly met with developers, signing intent letters for land sales contingent on his win. That was a clear conflict, risking perjury if he'd lied under oath. Thorne pounced. This triggers the no contest clause. He forfeits if the challenge fails. The judge agreed to review. Off court, drama intensified. One crisp morning, as I fed the horses,
Mia approached, teary-eyed.
Brad called last night, offering me double to testify against you. Say you mistreated staff. I hugged her, anger flaring. Don't worry, record it next time. She did, forwarding a voicemail. Brad's voice. Desperate. Help me out.
Mia.
M's ruining everything. It was heartbreaking, my brother, reduced to begging. I confronted him at a neutral diner in town, booths worn from years of rancher talks. Why, Brad? We were a team. He stared into his coffee, shoulders slumped. You got everything, the ranch, Dad's approval. I needed this to prove myself. Vulnerability poured out. Failed marriage in Seattle. Mounting debts. Feeling overshadowed. I thought subdividing would save us both. Tears welled. Mine too. For the first time, I saw the man behind the monster. Hurt. Human. But trust was shattered. Actions have consequences, I said gently. Withdraw the suit. We mediate fairly. He nodded vaguely. But days later, his lawyers pushed harder, subpoenaing ranch financials. I complied. But my dossier grew. Witness statements from hands who'd overheard his slurs, like calling me a stubborn mule blocking progress. The turning point, Hank uncovered Brad's past, a Seattle lawsuit where he'd been sued for similar poaching. Settling quietly. It established pattern, admissible as character evidence. In court, the judge frowned at the docs. This suggests bad faith. Mr. Harrison. Brad paled, whispering furiously with his team. That night, a storm raged, mirroring my turmoil. I paced the ranch house, fire roaring, questioning my path. Revenge felt empty. Dad wouldn't want this. I called Thorne. Can we offer settlement with conditions? Yes, Brad drops claims. We co-manage. He gets debt relief from joint sales. Brad agreed to talk. We met on the ranch overlook, wind whipping our hair, mountains standing sentinel.
I'm sorry.
He admitted, voice breaking. Greed blinded me. We hugged, tears mixing with rain. But legal wheels turned. The judge needed proof of change. In a humane twist, I proposed therapy, family counseling, mandated in settlement. The court approved, seeing it as restorative justice, common in Western family disputes. Brad entered rehab for stress, emerging humbled. Yet mysteries lingered. Who leaked Brad's old lawsuit? Hank hinted at a disgruntled ex-partner. It added Trin-Tam flair, but I let it go, focusing on healing. As winter neared, snow blanketing the land like a fresh start, we signed the agreement. Brad kept his share, but under oversight. The lesson whispered, family bonds bend but don't break if mended with empathy. Winter gripped Montana like a vice, snowdrifts piling against the barns as the settlement took shape. The ranch felt reborn, quieter. With Brad back in Seattle but visiting regularly for counseling sessions in Billings.
Dr. Elena Vasquez.
A no-nonsense therapist specializing in family dynamics, peeled back layers. Jealousy is a thief, she said in our first joint meeting. Room warm with heater hum. Brad nodded. Sharing childhood resentments. Dad always praised M's grit. I felt invisible. I opened up too. I envied your freedom.
Brad.
But the ranch anchored me.
Tears flowed.
Bridging gaps. Legally, we amended the trust, joint decisions required. With arbitration for disputes, clearer than before under U.S. fiduciary laws. Brad sold personal assets to clear debts, avoiding ranch liquidation. Drama resurfaced when an anonymous tip hit my inbox, docs showing Brad had forged a minor signature on an old loan app. Heart sinking. I realized it was from his past, but it could void our deal if pursued. Mystery element. Who sent it? I suspected a developer he'd burned. Instead of weaponizing it, I confronted Brad privately. Over coffee at the ranch. This could ruin you, I said. He broke down. It was desperation. Years ago. I'm changing.
Eminencia.
Compassion won. I shredded the docs. We moved forward. The act humanized us both, no revenge. Just grace. Spring thawed the land. Calves born under sunny skies, symbolizing renewal. Brad helped with branding. His city hands blistering but spirit willing. Thanks for giving me a chance, he said one evening. Stars twinkling. I almost lost everything. The light lesson crystallized. In the West's vastness. Holding grudges shrinks the soul. Forgiveness expands it. We hosted a family reunion. Laughter echoing where tension once ruled. Aunt Louise toasted. To the Harrisons, stronger together. But closure came quietly. Reviewing the amended will with Thorne, I saw safeguards, anti-intimidation clauses, echoing my dossier. Brad thrived, starting a consultancy blending tech with ranching. Our bond deepened, proving family drama, when faced with humanity, yields growth. As summer returned, painting the Montana plains in vibrant greens, the ranch pulsed with life. Cattle grazed peacefully, and Brad's visits became routine, no longer threats, but collaborations. We'd implemented ecotourism on a small scale, jointly managed, profit shared, legally sound, with permits from the Bureau of Land Management ensuring compliance. One golden afternoon, as we rode horseback along the river, Brad confessed fully. I was scared.
Eminencia.
Failure in Seattle broke me. I shared my fears. Losing the ranch would have ended me. That vulnerability sealed our redemption. The mystery resolved when Hank traced the anonymous tip to a former associate of Brad's, seeking payback. We let it fade, focusing on the present. Counseling continued, teaching us communication tools, active listening, empathy exercises.
Dr.
Vasquez noted, you've turned trauma into triumph. In a final humane act, Brad donated to a local land trust, preserving wild acres in Dad's name. For a legacy, he said. The community rallied. Our story whispered as inspiration, siblings who chose healing over hate. Years on, the ranch thrives, a testament to resilience. The lesson? Revenge tempts, but compassion endures, forging unbreakable bonds in life's unforgiving terrain.